romance down Woodward. It always brings a smile. I'm proud to be from Detroit, cause of what it does for me. And if you come to visit, you may never want to leave. And the 12 love our sports teams, in spite of a little pain. The Tigers went to the playoffs. Man, oh man, what a team. I'm proud to be from Detroit. In this town you'll have some fun. And if the Lions keep on winning, you know they will get the job done. Romance, all of our girls are serene and fine. And when it comes to music, you can't beat that Detroit sound. I'm proud to be from Detroit, town with a style all its own. If you're looking for a good time, check out the Red Wings down at the Joe.
Hey y'all, hey everybody. I'm your fabulous host, Mr. Jimmy Alter. Miss Tasha Owens had to be absent tonight due to a urgent band rehearsal that she had to have. We gladly forgive her for that. You're watching Hot Flash Happy Hour on WJZZ, the coolest station in the world. Tonight we have the fabulous and always amazing and long-historied Mr. David Kramer. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's been a pleasure talking to you. We both just got here a few minutes back, and we've been talking our ears off nonstop.
Well,
so we came in the studio
for a few years.
We've known each other, a good 10 probably now, almost, right? Like something like that. So. Yeah, and happy to have you in here. We tried to schedule this a few times, and I know it was like a lot of times shit gets urgent around here. Oh hey, can you do this? I'm happy we finally got this done, and
I'm glad to do it.
We can talk about the illustrious career, right? I mean. Like, for those of you all that don't know, too, it's, David Kramer of Alligators fame and now playing with Nikki T and the Snake Charmers. And usually how we start this, right, the idea for the show is kind of record these conversations about the history of, like, the blues around the city, document the history of the blues around the city. That's kind of been my thing for the whole show since we started it. I told Tasha, I said, yeah, I'll do this, but let's really try to get these stories of these bands that maybe they're not on YouTube or Facebook or Periscope or Twitch or anything else, right? And so let's begin at the beginning. That's usually what we do for the shows. Give us a quick rundown of what got you started singing. Like, even before the Alligators, what got you...
I started when I was about 13 years old, and really what got me going, it was three bands. It was number one, it was the Stones.
Yeah.
It was Eric Burden and the Animals, and it was Mitch Ryder. And Mitch Ryder was the one that really, because he was local.
Right.
That's the one that touched it off for me.
I can understand that for sure. Yeah. Did you start playing with a band then?
I started playing with a band when I was
probably going into high school kind of age.
Before that, in
junior high.
In junior high, I was 13 years old. Mm-hmm. I met my best friend Ira, who's still to this day my best friend. So we've got 56 years of being close friends.
That's pretty excellent.
But we started playing music together, and we went from there. And like most people in my age group, guys like me found the blues through the British bands.
Of course, yeah.
The British invasion was coming through. Even the Beatles, they were doing old R&B, Motown, some of the blues stuff. So that's how we kind of found it. Oh, this is cool. Who wrote it? Let's go. And that's how we found the Chicago blues, and then we started finding the St. Louis stuff and all that. So.
There's there's those groups of white folk, like every so many years that like take throngs of white people back into black music, which is great. Like it's the same as like Stevie Ray of the of the 80s and 90s, right? Like he brought so many white people to black music, and they all did the same.
Years ago, Shaw said, we were at some show, and he was talking to some people, and he says, black kids don't listen to this music. This is their grandparents' music. They're not we don't listen to our grandparents' music.
Right.
My grandparents were into opera and stuff. My mother was an opera singer. So he says, if it wasn't for the white guys, all this stuff would have just kind of passed into perpetuity.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah, yeah, right. And what was the Alligators? Let's start going in, I guess, towards the Alligators here. Was that your first blues band you sang with?
No, I've been singing. I always sang some rock in the beginning, but I've been singing blues and R&B pretty much since the beginning.
Since then.
Yeah. There was a lot of rock stuff in there, but it just drifted into this. There was a band back in the late 70s, Houndstooth Jones. It was me and Waylon and Ira and some other guys, and that did what it did there were only a few blues bands around. There was Detroit Blues Band, Progressive Blues Band, Darian James, those guys. There weren't a lot of gigs with Delta Lady right up the street.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that, and then that just kind of fell apart, and a week later, a month later, whatever it was, Waylon and I kind of got back together, and that's how the Alligators started.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
And it just, it's just one of those things. We had our mindset and our heart set, and off we went.
One thing I didn't know, too, and I'm glad I get to quiz you on all this, because, like I said, it's the point of the show, was Steve, how long was Steve?
Steve was in the band just shy of 21 years, but he didn't join the band till, we were probably already going like 7-8 years before he came into the band.
Who was the first guitar player?
That was my friend Ira.
Oh, that was Ira.
Oh, no, actually, it wasn't. It was a guy named Steve Haverlock, who I knew from high school. I don't know, Ira was somewhere.
Yeah.
And then Ira came in, and he spent a number of years with us, and then he had a kid. And
did his thing. Yeah, it settled down a little bit. I understand that. I get that 100%.
I worked, but I worked right through that stuff.
Right.
The stress of doing that. I'm just blessed that my wife was pretty much open-minded about it. She learned to be, and my kids kind of.
Amen to that. I mean, if Lizzie wasn't like good with this, I would definitely have to be there more, because it takes you away a lot of nights where I was gone many times, 4 or 5 nights a week. Yeah.
Day job, 2 careers. That and the music. There was one line that I used early on, just before we got married. The one time she complained, and I says, this was here long before you got here. It'll probably be here long.
Yeah. It's a hard one to use.
If she's watching, I'll hear about it later.
I know.
It really is your mistress. It really is your whole life.
Yeah.
Guys like you or me, I mean, I've made a living, and I raised a family, and I did this, and this, but the common thread through my whole life is music.
Right, yeah.
And that's all I've ever done. And it's not for me to judge if I'm good at it or not, but all I can say is it's probably what I do better than anything else.
Right. And shout out to those women that can handle it, right? Because it definitely takes a special type, that's for sure. I would credit, like I've been once divorced. I would credit that to the mistress, as you said, right? Because certain women can handle like somebody that's not home a ton, and certain women can't, and like want somebody that's home a ton, and that's completely understandable. That's it's completely fine, but you gotta find your right person.
My first wife just couldn't get into when I married my wife Sue, she was from a different world. She didn't know what this was. I guess there was a little shine on it then because it was kind of exotic, but then she got over that pretty quick. And then you just do what you do, and there's we've certainly had our moments, but she also knew that if he doesn't do this, he's just You know,
Right.
I mean, you could have your head under the hood. You could be playing hockey. You could be playing baseball. You know, this is what we do. This is our passion.
It's true. Yeah.
And yeah, the family. You know, I've come home from out of town, and my kids had stitches. My next door neighbor had to drive them to the hospital.
Right,
you know,
right, yeah, and then you felt bad missing those times and all that, but
I mean, you know, missed
happens in
birthdays,
this
missed
life.
weddings, missed
Right,
all kinds of stuff. You know, it just becomes part of the game.
But and then the longer you go through it too, it is a second career also then, right? So you have to do the right things to kind of keep that career on the tracks.
Well, you got to fight hard. You got to stay current.
And there's certain things you can't say no to if you get like a good money offer. I mean, like some of those cooler gigs, you got to take those cooler gigs.
And when you start making a little dough, you know, when you, I mean, we had a long stretch, many years of really good gigs. You know, I mean, we were turning down way more than we were taking because we couldn't juggle our lives anymore.
Right,
but
right.
when you start making a little dough, well, that kind of turns the family's head too.
Right, yeah.
Like we were talking before we went on, you know.
It
pays
definitely
for
helps.
the big vacations.
Yeah.
Kids want pizza, kids want jeans, that type of thing. So.
right. That's true. That's very true. Now, those going from those first years, is there recordings of the first years before Steve was in, or are all your guys?
Yeah,
recordings after
there's
Steve was in?
recordings. We did demos. All ended up on cassettes and stuff. Remember those? You might not even remember cassettes.
Yeah. No, I remember cassettes. Yeah.
I have boxes full of that stuff. None of that ever made it to disc or vinyl, but you know, our first real recording was the first Alligator recording on Blues Factory.
Okay.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Who was Blues Factory?
Blues
who ran
Factory
that?
was Mark Foreman and Steve Sanchez.
Okay.
And myself. And they started out, I ran into them at a record store, and we started talking, and Mark was an attorney that just moved to Detroit from Chicago, and they were setting this up, and their whole thing was to record all the Detroit artists, all the black artists that have been overlooked. And that's how Shaw got a career, that's how the Twins got a career, that's how Yard Dog Jones got a career, that's how Eddie Burns had a resurgence. They did an album, their first album was all that type of stuff. Rob Noel was involved too, but he kind of faded out as he went. But all these black artists, and that's what got the Twins signed to the European label. That's what got Shaw overseas. It was all came from Blues Factory, and we created a blues scene. We booked all the blues bars, and at one time we were booking like 12, imagine this, 15 bars every week, 2 nights a week.
Right, yeah.
We were doing shows, so there was an active blues scene.
Yeah.
They were involved loosely with like the Coachman. Coachman was kind of hard to work with.
Were those full-time, were they full like bar nights? Were they 4-hour nights?
Oh yeah. We had our shows, we had our once a month jubilees.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were and just about every blues band in town was working. And we had some great artists back then.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, we're at it real quick. I want to play one by the old, the Alligators. This was Steve Schwartz Alligators after. Of course, goes out. That's okay. We're gonna do Crying Time.
Oh, I wrote that.
Dave Kramer wrote this one. See, this is
Crying
Time, baby. Lord, here we go again. Well, it's crying time, baby. Yes, and here we go again. Well, I keep on talking, baby. Yes, and you don't understand. Yeah, it's crying time, baby. You better walk on down the street. Well, it's crying time, baby. You better walk on down the street. Yeah, just stand on up now and start moving your feet. Well, crying time, baby. Things ain't like I thought they should be. Well, it's crying time, baby. Things ain't like I thought they should be. Yeah, take a long look around and find somewhere else to be. start talking that stuff, baby, I know you don't really care. All those long, long nights you had me pulling my hair. Don't start talking that stuff, baby. Start saying your goodbyes. Don't start talking that stuff, baby. Start saying your goodbyes. You know I'm doing all right now. Yes, I'm sure I'll survive.
We're gonna keep pressing forward because we've got a lot of songs I want to get through, a lot of talking I want to get through with Mr. David Kramer. You're watching Hot Flash Happy Hour on Wjzz Cool TV, streaming in every nook and cranny of the internet. It's streaming everywhere.
Of the cosmos.
Anywhere you want to see it, yeah. Like and share and subscribe, do all that stuff, you know. This got me motivated. I don't know if people could hear over the music, so I wanted, the story was a little bit about like the troubles with women in the band.
In the band.
As the song was being written, recorded, and everything. On that note, those times back then, so I only knew, rest in peace, Mr. Waylon Dale, I only knew him sober. I mean, these were back in like, I mean, you guys were probably drinking like fish. You were probably partying like crazy. Like,
I met Waylon just when I met my wife. So I met Waylon in '79.
Okay.
He was my second wife.
I mean, right.
He was my other wife. We met at the same time. I met him at the same time I met my wife, and we worked together pretty much all the way through. We had a little time out there.
Yeah.
He was 20, 21, and Waylon had the constitution of an ox. I mean, we all hit it pretty hard. Our first rehearsals were, you know, it's your turn. You bring the bottle of Jack Daniels.
Right.
And when the bottle was empty, rehearsal was over.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, but yeah, Waylon
could drink. Wow.
That.
I mean, Waylon Dale, for those that don't know, I mean, he had a band called Waylon Dale and the DTs.
That was his side project.
Yeah.
That was during
like,
the time out.
Yes, right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's no one that can really get mad at me because the family's not there anymore. But
right. Yeah.
Waylon hit it pretty hard.
Yeah.
And it caught up to him later.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that was the constant battle him and myself, him and Steve would have, is sometimes, I don't care what you do, Waylon, just don't do it on stage, you know?
Right, absolutely, yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was nights that were rough nights.
Led to a timeout.
Right, yeah. That's great, though. That's awesome. That's part of the history.
Yep.
Now, going forward, Steve Schwartz passes, Waylon Dale passes. You guys kind of don't know what to do. And along comes Nicky T.
Yeah, what happened was, when Steve passed, that was, that's, all I can say is, my age, I've lost a lot of people in my life. I've lost a lot of, that was probably the most shocking loss of my life. Yeah. That took some recovering. So we needed to bail ourselves out. So Billy Ferris played with us for a bit.
That's right.
He's quite the guitar player. He's not really a band guy.
Right. He wants to freelance.
He wants to do his thing. So I was talking to Steve Allen, and I told him, I says, no more old guys. I says, I gotta find a kid. Yeah. We talked to you at one point too.
Yeah.
And he turned me on to Nick.
Yeah.
And Nick was this. Nick is Nick. He's very unassuming.
Absolutely.
Very quiet, very peaceful. And he walks into me and Waylon, and
right. I know. Could you picture?
But, Nick, first few gigs with us, he was very tentative, and then we had a real high-profile festival come up. And Waylon and I had Nick over to my house, just him, me, and Waylon. Mm-hmm. And we sat him down and we says, Nick, you're the most lovable guy we've ever met. You're kind-hearted. You're gentle. That guy's not allowed on stage anymore. You got to bring something else. So we went and played this festival. And when we finished the set, I'm walking down the street to the green room. and everybody on the streets talking about Nick. And that was it. That's when Nick became Nick.
Right, that's excellent. That's great.
And Nick's a badass guitar player.
Hell yeah, he is. Transitioning forward from, actually, let's go into a little bit of like, okay, so Nick's years in the Alligators, then disbandment years later.
When Waylon passed, I'm me.
Yeah, I think a lot of it didn't feel probably the same no matter what, correct?
We sat down, the four of us sat down, we decided we're not going to replace Waylon.
Right.
Besides, I played with a harmonica player at that point for, at that point it was probably 35 years or so, maybe even more.
And by this point it was John Johnson in the band,
Johnny,
Frankie Lee,
Nicky, and myself.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was up to here with harp players. I think we all were, just the sound, just, so singular.
Yeah.
So we decided we'll go with the four of us. And, and stubbornly, we had enough, we had name recognition, we had enough connections, we kept going, we did all right, but it wasn't right. It wasn't right. And things were, the wheels were slowly falling off, and one day after a gig that was out of town, it just happened, my wife went with me, and we're driving back, and I didn't talk all the way home, like 2.5 hour drive. Walked in the house, I had, this isn't a story to be proud of, but this is how I did it, because I had to do it. I was up to here, I was done. I came in the middle of the night, sent emails to every gig that was booked, canceled every gig, and then the next day I told everybody it's over.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And
you just hit your wall.
And then the shit fell down.
Yeah, but that's going to happen because, like, God, anytime people lose gigs, I'm going through that right now with, like, some guys that, like, don't want to play together anymore, and then some guys ask me for other gigs, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's got, like, everybody's sore about it. There's weird things that happen once people start losing money from gigs and all that, but, like, when it's time, like, when something's run its course, it's over, For
the most part, and I don't know, this must have been some kind of blessing from God. For the most part, over all those many years, we were able to foster some kind of attitude, some kind of mentality in the band. It was the music, it was the band, it was, and we had a little bit of success, so that kind of drives you. It was never the money that drove us.
Yeah.
Money was never an issue. And I am the asshole that when times got tough, and everybody's getting on you, you can't make this much, you should just stay home and not play. Nah, happy band's a playing band.
Right,
and if there's no gigs, if we hit a dry spell, which everybody does,
then you
go grab a few, few cheap gigs, keeps you tuned up, keeps you moving. And I can tell you unequivocally, you never know who's going to be in that room and what's going to happen. And I've gotten many a cool break from some shitty little dive
that you weren't getting paid a ton.
That we weren't getting paid shit for. Someone comes in, I'm so and so, I do this, I do that. He's there with his sister or something. Yeah. You get cool gigs. So that was our thing. So money, the guys in the band, it was never a money issue for anybody.
Yeah. Right.
It became near the end. It became a music issue. There was a couple of guys. There was one guy that was just, let's just start doing covers. Let's start doing Allman Brothers and stuff. Oh, fuck that.
Right.
That ain't happening.
Right. Yeah. So, not in this band.
And that's
a different band. Great. Sure. You know what I mean. But not in that band.
And that's when I, and we got the, was said, Waylon and Steve are gone. I said, well, I started this band. This is my vision.
Right. Yeah, like I kind of get my say here.
I mean, near the end, I said something like, "When did you guys think you had a choice?"
Right. Yeah.
So it died hard.
It fizzled out. Now moving forward, Nicky T and the Snake Charmers.
Well, the band carried on. When I was done, they formed Black Dog with Big Al.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool band.
Yeah.
But. Those guys wanted to take it into a heavier...
And then more rock guys, I was going to say, for sure.
And Nick was really kind of a fish out of water on that one.
I could see that. Yeah, Nick likes to play blues.
That's Nick's passion.
Yeah.
And he, Nick and I are as close can be.
Yeah.
And, we talk, and he kept saying, oh, I just want a blues band. I just want to put a blues... I don't know who to get. Everybody I talk to, and I said, well, Frankie's out there.
Right.
They don't make a better blues bass player than him. He's about as good as he can play anything.
Yeah.
As well, if not better than most.
I consider like him and Rummel are kind of like those two guys that play blues bass, right?
They
Like
they know all of it, and they know all the different versions of it. Very good, very intuitive musicians. And then, you know, Pete Berg, who I've known since high school and played in the Alligators for a while. He was out there. He was with Boa Constrictors for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
And I said, well, call Pete. I mean, when it comes to old school blues playing, there really is no one better anywhere. And you know, I've had a lot of people out of town comment on, geez, this guy knows that stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, so he did that. Andy Szymanski, who's, you know,
Killer key
and all
player,
he wants to do is play blues piano.
Yeah.
So these are, you know, these are, first of all,
which is kind of hard to find. Like, it's hard to find a guy that plays keys that doesn't want to play jazz. Like, really, like a lot of keyboard players like want to like play jazz, and that's okay. You know,
Andy's into the music. Andy is a band guy. You know, he has the band mentality. It just fits like a glove. You know, all the personalities in this band are perfect. And then Nicky's looking for a front man. I got to find a singer. I got to find a singer. I got to find a singer. I'm talking to this guy. He wants to do Sam Cooke. I said, well, you don't want to. I said, great voice, but you don't want to do that stuff, do you? No, I just want to do blues. So we had a conversation one night, and I says, Nick, I don't know if you want to do this or not. I don't know how you feel. Yeah. But I'll volunteer myself.
Oh, yeah.
You know, my wife's in the other room, and it's, you know, I thought you weren't going to do this anymore.
Right, yeah.
But, you know, so he chewed on it a little bit, and it just kind of fell together. Yeah. Also, you know, Nick being young and really hasn't done, you know, he does this thing with Ronnie, but that's on Ronnie's terms. He does this thing in the Alligators that's on my terms, on the band's terms. Yeah. So he had his first dose of being band leader. Right. And I told him, I'm not doing it anymore. I'll walk you through it. I'll teach you everything I know.
Like booking the gigs, like make sure the guys all know what's going on, where it's at. Like
so guess what? It's me and Nick now. So.
Right. I was gonna say you helping
them out. But it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it takes a long time to develop that organizational thing.
Just to, my God, to keep it straight is incredible. You know, I just, you know, like even for Tasha and I, it's like it's a really hard thing to do because like at this point now we kind of have like A rhythm section, B rhythm section, and like who, depending on who's available, because you know we have like kind of freelance people or people that have other obligations and all that, and man, sort of keeping it just juggled of who's on what gig and all that. It gets to be a little bit of a circus.
Yeah, I didn't get too much of that till the end, and that's part of what fried me at the end. You did one of our last gigs. With us
that's right, Guy Halloran's. That's right. I remember you were upset that night.
I wasn't upset. Everybody says I was. I was just like resigned to the fact that once again we're doing this again.
Yeah, right.
So that's you know actually you played phenomenally.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But like,
and we told you that.
And here I go into like their gig and I'm like, okay, well, like I know maybe like 10 songs of like your guys's, and then like the rest of the night's gonna be winging it, and it you know it came off fine. But it's not like playing a show.
Well, it's not no one can relax.
Yeah, right, correct. Because like you have to be given cues. Everybody's got to be like, playing on their toes for real.
And
you know?
for a band that has a body of recorded music and enough fans that people want to hear this, they ask you for this, you know. Yeah. And it throws you into the deep end too.
Oh, absolutely. If somebody's like, well, I know that one, I'm like, okay, well, try to give me a heads up, please. You know.
Yeah. So you know, so we. My thing was always the band's the band. I mean, if someone's arm falls off, obviously we're going to have to get a sub for a while. We've had to do that.
But like, for the most part, it should be like its thing. You know?
Yeah, and your sound develops, and the personality develops, and the whole band develops together. That was kind of a strict band.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
But we have that now, and what's really cool is you have 4 senior veterans playing in the band, and you have Nick. The dynamic of the hot young guitar player with the 4 veterans is really good. Nick's a veteran too, but the dynamic of it is pretty cool.
Isn't that weird? Since we've known each other, everybody's flipping. Like we used to be the young crowd, and now we're transitioning.
You were the young East Side guitar singers.
I know. I talk about this like at my day job, even that I'm turning into the old dinosaur there, right? And it's kind of the same in the scene now, which like. It's a great spot to be in. It's
even Brendan's starting to age out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's been, you're talking, Brendan's been in 8 years. years now. 8 years of running, playing these gigs and doing all this, you know. So, on that note, let's do this real quick. Station ID. This is Hot Flash Happy Hour with our fabulous guest, Mr. David Kramer. Fabulous on Wjzz Cool TV, streaming everywhere. And let's play a song by Nicky T and the Snake Charmers. You guys just did a recording. Let's play a tune, and then we'll talk about it after we play the tune. First tune we're gonna play is "So Long, Baby," and
The live side.
yeah, it's that old 50s PA.
Someone's ungrounded.
Yeah.
The harp player's ungrounded amp.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. All right, now we can play.
Yeah, you wanna get funky? You gotta grease the monkey.
We got this.
Yeah, you want to get funky?
Let's see if we can get this to play. We'll try one more time here. There we go.
So long, baby, you just don't know. So long, baby, you just don't know. What rip me up now? What make me go? You tried so hard, you just can't see. You tried so hard, you just can't see. You wanted it all now, you're not for me. You were wrong with the start, you tried too hard, you played it wrong, it's just not in the cards. So long, baby, you just don't know. What rip me up now, what make me go? You tried too hard, you played it wrong, it's just not in the cards. So long, baby, you just don't know. What rip me up now, what makes me go? You showed your hand. You placed your bets now. You showed your hand. It's a fool's game. Alone you stand. So long, baby. You just don't know. So long, baby. You just don't know. What rip me up now? What make me go?
Talk about the recording for a second. It sounds great. Where was it done?
That was recorded. is recorded at our friend Sean's studio.
Okay. Studio name slipping. That's okay. That's fine. Yeah, that's okay.
But
Yeah.
we've known Sean. Actually, Sean was real close with Steve, and
Okay.
we recorded 20 to Life there.
Oh, that long ago.
That long ago.
Yeah.
And we recorded down at Big Katie's at his studio also, Mission Studio.
Yeah.
It was in the basement of a Mission. Somewhere along the line, Nick got to know him, and he does a good job. Sean does a really good job. He's real easy to work with, real accommodating. Nice studio.
Yeah.
So it worked out cool.
It sounds like hearing it on. I know people at home hear it like directly or through whatever they're listening to. Hopefully not just on their phones, but like through actual speakers, so they can enjoy it. But in the studio here, we just have a Bluetooth speaker, and even on the Bluetooth speaker, it sounded like everything was like very kind of very live and airy and roomy sounding.
That was a goal right there.
And that's a cool sound to have when you're recording blues albums, because who doesn't want that when you're recording
That's all
blues
it is.
albums?
It's just, everybody has space.
Yeah.
Sound has space.
Yeah, and you don't want shit sounding over processed and all that. I mean, a lot of studios, especially like a modern studio that's not in touch with blues, doesn't get that feel. And even through the Bluetooth speaker, you could actually kind of hear that.
Over the years, bands like this would struggle because you'd go play gigs where there's sound men who didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do with a harp player. They always struggled with a harp player.
Right,
that was Waylon's. That was the bane of his existence. There was sound guys that didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah. You just almost want to be like all the time at places like that, like just sort of like leave it at 12 o'clock and I'll try to do everything I need to do on my amp.
Just put enough to bring it out of the PA and let me do my.
Yeah, right.
But just give a lot of air.
Yeah.
When you have players like this, everybody knows how to do this. You play this type of music, you know what.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, we're real pleased. Actually, that recording is like a year and a half old now because we're getting ready, and then the virus hit.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Now going forward, because it's soon released, right? It's very soon.
It's Nick's waiting for the product to show up, and it's supposed to show up sometime this coming week. So we're doing the Mid-Michigan Festival, the Old Town Festival in Lansing, a week from Saturday. So that'll be our soft release.
Okay.
October 17th at Caju Cafe will be the hard release.
Oh, beautiful at the Caju, excellent. Our good buddy John Rutherford, man.
Yeah. I never played there.
Oh, really? Oh my God, it's such a blast. You're doing it outdoors, like as weather permitting, I'm sure, right? What a great. It's a great venue at the Caju, and if it rains or anything like that, they can take it right inside and take the party inside, and that's still a great time too. But if the weather is still, usually October 17th, you get away with,
Oh, it's probably still.
Me and Tasha played there last year on November 10th because it was the day before my birthday. I remember because I barely remember the gig because it was my birthday party, right? So yeah, I wound up puking in the parking lot last time I played there. And my poor wife had to drag our young baby girl out of bed in the pouring rain. By this point, by the end of the night, it was pouring rain, and I had to call her and be like, I can't. There's no way I'm driving home.
Plus, you get the wives that, really, you're gonna keep doing this, huh?
Yeah, I mean, since then I've definitely changed my ways for sure. It was my birthday party. She definitely understood, So, I want to hear another one. Life on Life's Terms, is it?
That's the
title track, right? Anything special behind the song or anything?
No, actually, Nick came over one evening, and we were going to have a writing session, and he had his book, and he says, I think he wrote the first verse, or he had a bunch of it done, and he didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So we decided to go with the groove that it is, and we worked off the words he had, and it came together pretty quickly.
And then, did you guys write the rest of the lyrics together?
Yeah, we finished it together. We wrote 4 songs in 2 hours.
Oh, Jesus.
And they're all on there.
Wow.
So they made it.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Living ain't easy, Lord, if you can't see. Living ain't easy, Lord, if you can't see. Life on life's terms, in what is meant to be. Life ain't easy when worry on your mind. Life ain't easy when worry on your mind. Live for today, enjoy your precious time. Some days you feel like it's over, can't see what to do. Throw up your arms and give the Lord your blues. Living ain't easy, Lord, if you can't see. Life on life's terms, and what is meant to be. You feel alone, some days you truly are. You got to free your soul, brother, find out who you really are. Living ain't easy, Lord, if you can't see. Life on life's turn, and what is meant to be. Life on life's terms, and what is meant to be. Life on life's terms, and what is meant to be.
Hey y'all, you're watching Hot Flash Happy Hour on Wjzz Cool Tv, the coolest station in the world, streaming everywhere you can imagine, with fabulous Mr. David Kramer. That was Nikki T and the Snake Charmers.
Nikki T's first album.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Nick.
Yeah, coming out soon. Kate Moss did the artwork for it. I was impressed to see that. That's pretty amazing, yeah. One time I was at Legends in Chicago and she was sitting next to me, and I was like, I felt like I was sitting next to royalty. You know what I mean? That's one of the Chicago people, and she did the artwork for Nicky's album. I mean, he's rubbing great elbows he's
Yeah,
you know,
he's met a few people along the road.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's been kind of nice.
Yes, he's doing really great things for sure. What do you guys got coming up?
It's still hit and miss because of the virus.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and we're still a little, as a band, we're a little squirrely about what's going to happen, making commitments, but we have the festival coming up. We have
The Mid-Michigan Festival, you said, in Lansing.
Yes, a week from Saturday.
Okay.
We have the October 17th album release, record release. It's a record. It's a record release.
Record release.
Record release.
Yes, yeah. At the Caju.
We
yes.
have...
Which should be outside for people that, like, you know what I mean?
We have November 10th across the street here at Stonehouse for the 3-chord party.
Get out of here. Nice, nice.
Party.
What day is that? What'd you say?
That's Wednesday, November 10th.
November 10th. Excellent.
We have something in...
I'm going to have to talk to these guys. I work here, and that's the day before my birthday, like I just mentioned.
Well,
hey, what? no, I'm kidding.
we got something in February. We got something next
Oh,
week.
so you guys are, like,
it's
yeah,
starting to happen, but we've had a couple other offers that are still kind of floating, but no one knows whether to pull the trigger or not. On both sides of the fence, us and them. So.
Correct. Yeah, it's hard to know if you're going to have people in your...
Couple of tentative things were talked about in Canada.
Yeah.
But, here again, everything's just kind of floating.
If the border shuts, right, because it did just reopen, right, so like that possibility is there, but if it shuts again,
last summer
you guys are in some trouble.
I think we had 5 or 6 festivals booked last summer. They were supposed to all be moved to this summer.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Right, yeah.
So.
Yeah, and hopefully next summer, I guess, then you guys get all those. I mean, it's like...
maybe for my 90th birthday.
I know. Like, as the years go passing on, I guess, right, that, like, hopefully we are getting back to a normal world here sometime soon,
God willing.
Yeah.
Because this is tough. When you think about... When I think about it, I've been gigging pretty much straight since I've been 13. I'm going to be 70 in a couple weeks. This last 18 months is the longest I've ever not gigged in my life.
Right. I guess I never thought about it actually till you just said that, but probably me also since I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I mean, I really shook a lot of us up, I feel like. It was weird. Didn't you feel this way, like, as you started playing gigs again, did you feel like not only were you just sort of shaking up cobwebs, but you felt like you were, like, almost like the people under the stairs or something, that you were seeing sunlight for the first time in over a year or whatever too.
When I the Alligators, I took a year off. Because I was done, and then I wasn't done. And then when we went out and did the first gig with Nick, I was really apprehensive, more about myself than anything else. Yeah. We started the first song, and I thought, oh man.
Right, right there, yeah.
And we hung in there, and then this time off, age too, now we're how many years past, so yeah, it was time to start gigging and rehearsing, and rehearsing with masks on. I had to tell the guys, hey, first of all, I'm vaccinated, second of all, I'm not singing with a mask on. I don't care what you guys do, but I'm not singing with a mask on. So there's just kind of creepiness. I also had back surgery, not too long ago. So our first gig out was at Festival in Jackson, and that was, it was weird. It was weird to get up in front of an audience again, and
be around that many people, even,
and I'm stiff.
Yeah. I won't be dishonest. Last Friday, I played at Arts Beats and Eats, and I ended up, I walked around for a little bit, but I was just like, man, so many people, and I'm not used to it. I ended up kind of hightailing it, and and like I was alluding to earlier, you said, like, you mentioned the vaccination thing and age, right? Like, it's a big deal to, you know what I mean? If you're approaching 70 and you're around a bunch of people that say, like, more specifically, not even then, they don't want to be vaccinated, fine, but especially if they don't, like, believe in it or something, and they're not being careful at all, it's sort of a scary proposition to, like, if you're in the mindset of, I don't want this shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a weird and different world we're living in, and I think even as musicians, we're all trying to find our way through that and still be friends. You know what I mean? Like,
and I mean, that's the thing, and I talk about this all the time too.
Yeah.
You do what you want to do. That's up to you. I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
God willing, we'll both get through this thing. We did our second gig in Port Sanilac a couple weeks ago.
You're right.
Great gig.
Yeah.
And that was when I came off stage. I remember telling someone we're back.
Right.
It took But still, you know, you get that self-doubt. Do I
Right.
still have what it takes?
Absolutely.
Can I keep up with these guys? Because in my mind,
Right.
I don't want to let them down.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
How long was the set? Hour set?
Hour and a half. I
Hour and a
think.
half. Yeah, that's a long one to
That's
go
a long
jump
set,
back into
and I
too.
prefer
Yeah.
long
Like,
sets like that because once you get going, you want to keep
yeah,
rolling.
Yeah.
So when that was done, I think we've got our sea legs back. We rehearsed last week before last. We're rehearsing again tomorrow. We rehearsed week before last, and it was one of those rehearsals when I got in the car. Wow, this fucking band is cool.
Right.
So
You're just ripping. You're hitting your stride right now, which is awesome. You know, it's funny. The 60-minute sets, I agree with you that like sometimes you like can't fully grab onto what you want to. I prefer 75 because usually by 90 I always have to pee.
It was
like I'll have a couple beers.
75 minutes.
Oh, was it? Oh, was it 75?
It was 75.
I was gonna say that's the perfect one because usually by 90 I'm like, man, I gotta pee so bad. Like the last song's not as fun if you gotta if you're just like, oh my god, I hope I
It's
can
funny
make it.
because it sets over and everybody beelines.
Right, yeah. Socials. Nikki T and the Snake Charmers have a Facebook page.
We have a Facebook page.
I'm sure you can get the album. There will be a link.
There'll be
once
a link.
it's for
Yeah,
sale.
once I told Nick, don't start promising and doing things until you have the physical thing in your hand. Otherwise,
Correct.
You're
You don't want to be disappointing people
Right.
or making people mad or anything like that. You know.
I don't think anybody's gonna get mad, but it's
Yeah.
it's a cool album
Yeah.
that I'm as crusty as I am. I'm real proud of it. I'm really happy for Nick because I think he's very proud of it. Everybody on this thing plays really well. This is a Chicago blues band. When we started our first rehearsal, we said we just want to be a Chicago blues
Excellent.
band.
Yeah.
So not even like the Alligators had a lot of energy and a lot of balls. This thing is a lot bluesier.
Yes, absolutely.
Very,
It's a
very
lot different.
traditional.
Yeah, a lot different.
And very, very cool.
Yeah. And I love it. I mean, the two we heard tonight, I mean, how could people not want to buy that? Right?
That's
like
what I
that.
think.
Me too. I'm in absolute agreement with you. You know, it's been an absolute pleasure
Well, thank
having you
man.
on, my friend. Yeah.
I love this.
Oh, and I'm glad we finally worked it out and we were able to get you in and get you a date and everything on here. I
have me
appreciate
and
it.
Nick there.
Hell yeah.
Have us all in.
Yeah, we're it's funny. Right before I came to the show, even we're gonna have Motor City Josh is gonna be on at the end of October. But me and him and Tasha were going like, when do we have open dates? And we're going to like the end of October. We think we're doing something good here by talking and trying to promote people and like if people want to join in and listen, and then we can help people out. It's a cool thing.
Well,
like I mentioned, like just sort of supporting these blues stories and things like that.
Sure,
Sure.
You
On
know
that
what?
note,
blues and jazz and classical are the musics that they're not really mainstream in most cities. So wherever you are, support your local blues.
I was gonna say if we can all help each other, that's the idea.
A healthy blues scene is a lot of working bands, and it's good for everybody.
Absolutely. On that note too, we've got Mr. Smoke Jones is going to be our guest next week. Me and Tasha are playing with him on Friday night at the Sights and Sounds Festival in Royal Oak. I know Bobby Murray's actually playing before us. I know our set is 9:30 to 11. I believe Bobby is 8 to 9.
It's a hell of an opening act, isn't it?
That's silly. Like, you know what I mean? But there's like the whole night of music is insane. I can't remember. I apologize to anybody else, but I can't remember. The whole night was like all our friends and people we know and everything. Friday night, come on out. It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. I
got
back.
rehearsal.
Yeah. I know. Tomorrow in Royal Oak. Check that out. And Smoke Jones will be our guest. Thank you, David Kramer.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
Thank you from all the Snake Charmers for,
of course.
supporting us.
Well,
thank you from the back in the day.
Of course. We'll do what we can. We're gonna take you out with a little bit of Tasha Owens since she couldn't be here tonight. We'll give you a little touch of Tasha Owens.
Wait a minute before you do that.
Yeah.
Tasha, I'm sure you all know, is one of the best voices, if not the best voice in Detroit. And there's no two ways about that.
Yeah. We appreciate that.
And I don't know this woman, so.
I know.
I like it that you treat me this way. You're always there for me any day,
We can't get it long.
and I
We
like
appreciate
it.
it. Maybe next week.
Waylon had an amp like that. He had a lot of those little shitty old amps he had. And when the band first started, we were rehearsing. And he had his little, it was that little Premier amp.